access code to this game. A game in which your destiny depends upon your own decisions, and where the ultimate weapon is your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please take your seats at this time, as the program will begin momentarily.
I'm Gen X Dave, and this is Gen X and Beyond, and with me is Moken 420. What's up, man?
What's going on?
I know we're not doing as much podcasts as we used to do.
No.
But at the same time, we'll get her done, right?
There ain't much to cover, you know.
Yeah. I know
every
that.
day.
Not every day. You know, but I wasn't been paying attention lately, but 13 days ago, we're going to get into this, okay? And,
13 days ago.
13 days ago, the House passes Trump's big, beautiful bill.
Yes.
And what this bill consists of is no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, plus plenty of other things that I'm not even sure what's in there. I tried to look it up, but I wasn't able to find out much information, you know, so I know it's a budget bill and stuff like that, but I got something to show you that came out of that, all right?
All right.
So we're going to go ahead and get into that real quick. Here we go.
Okay, Republicans have done it. Breaking news now, an update. The House just voted to advance President Trump's budget resolution and this important step regarding the big, beautiful bill. Senior congressional correspondent comes back now. Chad Pergram is on the Hill. Chad, first of all, tell us about how this step feeds to the next.
Yeah, they have to get this step done, which they did just a few moments ago, to have the House and Senate on the same page, have the same document that they're working off, in order to avoid a filibuster when they actually do the bill in the Senate. So the House kind of taking a little bit of a hit here from the Senate was very important in this process. And that's why there was so much consternation, frankly, from some conservatives. If you look at what the House had done in its budget resolution, they only approved $1.5 trillion in spending cuts, and the floor was $4 billion in the Senate. So they got these assurances from the Senate Budget Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham, also John Thune, the majority leader, were able to work this out. And so now they actually get down to writing the bill. The final vote here, it was a tight one. Once again, this is where Mike Johnson continues to say, do not underestimate the House Republicans. It was 216 to 214. There were 2 Republican absences and 2 Republican noes, Thomas Massey of Kentucky and also Victoria Spartz of Indiana Harris.
Why is it so tight like this, though? I'm curious. We had on Representative Nancy Mason. She hadn't voted yet, and she was going to listen to some of the arguments being put forth on the floor. And my question was, well, what really changes one's mind at this point?
Yeah, and sometimes people just want an assurance. Because of the tight margin in the House of Representatives, you have basically 435 Joe Manchins. Remember, that was the key in the Senate a couple of years ago, because he was the swing vote on every single issue.
Right.
And when you have that margin in the House, well, everybody can come to the Speaker and say, well, what about me? What about my project? What do I want in the bill? And I noticed, and this was fascinating during the vote, where we had heard all about the conservatives being up in arms about what the Senate had sent over, but you had these New York moderate Republicans huddling with the Speaker, and they had not voted yet. Now, something that might be down the road here is whether or not they can include in this final version SALT, the reduction of state and local taxes. That's going to be key to get their votes in that final version. So were they making a last-minute call with the Speaker to say, hey, Mr. Speaker, don't forget about us. You need our votes, too. So that's where everybody is in play, and that's why this is so hard to work this out. It's like whack-a-mole. You hit it over here, and then you have to hit it over here, and whether or not it works out or not. And I asked John Thune earlier in the week, I said, could it be possible that maybe the House and Senate aren't able to finally line up? We'll know in the next few weeks.
Yeah, with that point of SALT, I'm here on the East Coast, and other states outside of some with the biggest budgets, and they can't control themselves fiscally, have adjusted to no SALT, and they did it pretty quickly. Some of those states, they were able to do other things with their tax dollars that they hadn't done. I don't know that New York has the discipline to do that, But there has been talk of maybe doubling the deduction of SALT. So you don't, or that it replaced. Now you can write off everybody, whether you own a home, you have an apartment, everybody gets that $10,000. If you double that to 20, you don't bring SALT back, but that would be maybe some sort of a compromise. So that could be in the works too.
Absolutely. And the reason they have the House majority, and certainly the reason they got it in the last Congress, is because of those New York Republicans. They were the majority makers. And so that's why it's so key, because the conservatives get a lot of the press, make a lot of the noise, but they need those moderates too.
Yep. All right, Chad Pergram, twice on the breaking news, and we are moving forward. Thank you.
All right. So basically, if y'all understand that,
It sounds like there's some Republicans that are not fully committed to Trump.
correctly, you know, I mean, it's because they want to make sure that their constituents ain't left out in the cold, which I completely understand. You know what I'm saying? You know, what are we going to be able to do about this? And what are we going to be able to do about that? And, you know, we're just looking at everything. This was 13 days ago. Things could have changed. If not, you know, obviously we're going to put it in. But moving on from that, 12 states sued Trump administration to block tariffs. Why would you block tariffs? Tariffs have no fucking bearing on your fucking state. If it does, then you fucking rely on foreign entities more than your constituents know. And do they know that you're robbing them? You know,
Yep.
There's the thing. You know, I mean, it's just fucking stupid, bro.
And see, that's why I don't like to shop at Walmart, because I know that they are the biggest buyer of Chinese products.
Right?
So why, if I don't support, you know, or want to support China anymore, which I've been forced to for 35 years, 40 years, 38 or 32 years maybe. I mean,
I mean, it's just
I remember me living in Arkansas and my dad watching news complaining about us moving our industries over to China. I remember that.
yeah. The people, not only your parents, but my parents, my grandparents, they fucking threw fits over that shit. We the people never wanted to move companies over to fucking China.
No.
We never wanted to do business with China. To us here in America, China's our arch enemy. And we could give a fuck if they sink or fail or fucking win.
Well, I mean,
care.
back in 73, they didn't have that same thought process because they bailed them out.
All I know is that it's a little bit crazy.
We bailed them out.
I don't know. All I know is no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and that's what I want this bill to be able to pass the Senate, be able to be signed by the president, you know, and be able to move forward to get done, because the people out there who work on tips, who work and is able to survive on overtime, you know, and be able to cut the mustard, that's the people that it's going to help, like me.
Now,
you know what I'm saying? That's
I have a question.
Really help.
I have a serious question.
Mm-hmm.
What about the liberal waitresses?
What about
Are
them?
they gonna accept the no tax on tips? Because if not, if they don't, if they want to be totally against Trump and the
You can be
taxes,
against Trump all you want, but you have to admit the no tax on tips benefits in your favor. If you're a liberal regardless if you're a far left liberal or just a standing neutral liberal or you're more center liberal, regardless what you are, okay, if you're a waitress or get tips from delivering pizzas or whatever that's being recorded to your paycheck and stuff, no tax. That money is yours, every fucking bloody cent. Overtime. You work overtime, you work a lot of it. I don't give a fuck if you're a liberal, Republican, far left, far right, upside down,
That's
inside
gonna
out,
help your
underground,
pocketbook.
in space. Your bottom dollar is what you can bring into your kitchen table. And
Right now,
everybody.
Right now, I'd be turning a shelf into a bed and turning that place into a home.
Yes, exactly. You're appreciative of that extra money that you don't have to pay tax on.
The
That
place
means
you
you don't
pay
pay tax on it. You don't have to report that you even made it.
that place that you pay rent for,
Mhm.
or that property you pay your insurance for, that's just your home away from home, which is your job.
And I wouldn't mind seeing the elimination of property tax period in the country. Unless
Well,
you're a business. Unless
right.
you're a business, I want to see
I agree.
homeownership property tax be eliminated,
I agree.
you know? So that I would love to see. That would be,
That and income tax.
yeah, income tax,
And
state
dude, I
tax.
wish that they put all this in place like before I killed my opportunity to work.
I mean, it all depends, bro. It really all depends. So you could really,
I mean, this could
yes,
make
you
or
would
break
want,
somebody.
yes, you yourself wish you could go back before you blow out your knee. Yes, you yourself wish that you were going to be working just starting out now with no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, because I worked a lot of overtime and I paid double the amount of tax on my overtime than I did on
Yep,
my
since
regular
you
hours.
went to that next tax bracket, which took more taxes out.
Yep. So tax on overtime really killed America.
Yeah,
And it doesn't only just help you in your pocketbook, it helps the company you work for because that means they don't have to pay taxes on that money they just had to pay you.
right.
Okay. And they don't have to record it, they don't have to report it. So it's going to help the company you work for a lot more too. It's going to be able to keep money in their pocket, to be able to keep doors open, to keep you working, to keep you feeding your family.
Yep.
Hate Trump, love Trump, far left, far right. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. I mean, whether you love him or hate him, it's gonna help your pocketbook.
Yep. All right. I got
That's
another
all I can
video.
say.
This was 49 minutes ago. So,
Yeah.
but, so this is him. Signs 7 executive orders focused on education. All right. This is what Donald Trump did. I guess this took place today. So we're going to go ahead and watch it. This is about 48 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing.
I didn't even realize it at the time, but I visited many of you in the hospital. They did an incredible job. The doctors are absolutely unbelievable, the job they do. So we were having a little meeting, and at the same time, we're signing some very important legislation, what will become legislation. And right now, it's an executive order, and having to do mostly with education. We have our Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's been so incredible over the last few weeks. I've been watching her on television. I'd like to tell her she could do better, but she can't. She can't do any better. So I want to thank you, Linda. Fantastic. And we also have commerce, and we have labor with us today. And you have been, thank you very much. And Howard, thank you very much. And we'll take some questions after we're finished. Maybe I'll ask Will to step forward, and you can go through some of these. Also, Lindsay, you work with Will, two very talented lawyers, as you all know by now.
Thank you, Mr.
And
President.
we'll go through them. And Linda, why don't you come over here? In fact, why don't the three of you come over here?
We also have a special guest with us today, sir.
Oh, that's very, Annette Albright. Where is Annette? Annette Albright. Charlotte.
Annette Albright,
School
huh?
teacher. Very special one. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have you. Got all sorts of awards for talent. That's good. Thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, please.
Sir, the first executive order we have prepared for your attention.
That's
there are
awesome
currently
that
laws
he-
on the books
he
requiring
recognized
certain
her like that.
disclosures
You know
of
what I'm saying?
universities when they accept large foreign gifts. We believe that certain universities, including, for example, Harvard, have routinely violated this law, and this law has not been effectively enforced. So this executive order charges your departments and agencies with enforcing the laws on the books with respect to foreign gifts to American universities.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll put it right here.
Next for you, sir, university accreditation is currently a process controlled by a number of third-party organizations. That's by statute, by law. Many of those third-party accreditors have relied on sort of woke ideology to accredit universities instead of accrediting based on merit and performance. This executive order affects a number of changes to the university accreditation process, also applies to law schools and other sort of graduate programs. But the basic idea is to force accreditation to be focused on the merit and the actual results that these universities are providing, as opposed to how woke these universities have gotten. So we're setting up new accreditation pathways. We're charging the Department of Education to really look holistically at this accreditation mess and hopefully make it much better.
Will we look into the past people that they've taken? For instance, I hear all about certain great schools, and then we read where they're going to teach people basic math that we can all do very easily, but they can't do. They're, going to the top school, and they come out with a program of teaching basic math to somebody that got into a Harvard or a Princeton or a Yale. Is that part of this?
When universities are not performing appropriately, whether that's in admissions or whether that's in their actual instructional activities, that's certainly something that accreditors should be considering, that right now we believe they're not doing a good enough job of, and I think Secretary McMahon could probably speak to that
What
better than
about
I
that,
could.
Linda? So they're allowing people into school that can't do math, and yet kids who've worked really hard and number one in their class in a high school someplace in New Jersey or in Mississippi, they can't get into the best schools. What is that all about?
Yeah, I think that gets to your policy, sir, of meritocracy, that we should be looking at those who have real merit to get in, and we have to look harder at those universities that aren't enforcing that.
Okay, thank you. And this pretty much does it, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Signed.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, during your first administration, you made promoting historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, a major priority. This executive order takes existing law on HBCUs and brings it into effect. We're going to be setting up a White House initiative on HBCUs. The basic idea here is making sure that every aspect of your administration is working to ensure that HBCUs are able to do their job as effectively and as efficiently as possible.
Now, HBCUs is historically black colleges and universities, which he was the only president in his first term
Right.
to give them all the money they need.
Right.
Okay. And never have to want to come back and ask for more money from the White House.
Right.
Now, this is their security. This is their security blanket that Joe Biden didn't even do and wouldn't do. But Donald Trump's doing it. So remember that, people, when you're thinking about Donald Trump's a racist. He's not.
This next executive order relates to artificial intelligence education, sir. You've obviously done a lot in the artificial intelligence space already. The basic idea of this executive order is to ensure that we properly train the workforce of the future by ensuring that school children, young Americans are adequately trained in AI tools so that they can be competitive in the economy years from now into the future as AI becomes a bigger and bigger deal.
That's a big deal because AI
Hell
is
yeah.
where it seems to be at. We have literally trillions of dollars being invested in AI. And somebody today, a very smart person, said that AI is the way to the future. I don't know if that's right or not, but certainly very smart people are investing in it heavily.
So I got something to say about that too.
Yeah.
Did you know Meta has their own AI?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you know what Meta is doing with said AI?
No.
They are giving access to it to China for weapons.
Whatever.
Good.
If a man really hated ads.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop sharing that. You guys basically get the point. It's all about school and education and making sure that our future and our children's future and our grandchildren's future is secure with jobs and the right training and the right tools. And every school at every level is taken care of.
Yes.
So,
yes. Hopeful.
Yes. So a lot of stuff happened over the last 14 days, obviously, with Trump with his big, beautiful bill that just passed the House. I'm guessing we're waiting for it to pass the Senate. And if it does, with no altercation or no, not alterizing it or altering it in any way, shape, or form, and it just goes through, it'll be signed.
Right.
So we're very hopeful. And a lot of people out here is downing Trump about legalization of marijuana. He's going to get to it.
I mean,
you guys got to allow this man to take time to take care of the more important and pressing issues like Russia, Ukraine, China, and North Korea.
I agree.
Not only that, but Sudan with the Houthis and Iran and Palestine. He's got a lot on his plate. If marijuana is down at the bottom of the list, I'm not mad at it because if something goes in a good way for America, that could be bumped back up on the list closer to the top later on down the road.
Right.
I know we want to see some movement of the goalpost when it comes to that, but it's not going to happen.
I mean,
right now, at least.
all stoners want that, and I mean, we've been wanting that. You're gonna have to wait at least 2 more years,
right?
At least. At most,
if anything, the minimum I'd say over the next 6 to 12 months, he may be speaking on it. But
oh no,
I would lean more towards the 2-year mark. Only because 18 months to 2 years, let's say that. And the reason why I say that is because you got to give this man to get through the other things that he already had promised before anything about marijuana,
and even make sure that they're running correctly.
Yeah, I mean, we got to give this man time. We can't just rush into everything. He wanted to end the war in Ukraine on the first day in office, but that wouldn't happen because neither party would sit down for a talk for a ceasefire.
Yeah, they wouldn't come to the table.
They wouldn't come to the table. So that's not his fault.
It's not on him.
Right. It takes
it takes finesse is what it does. It takes talking out both sides of your mouth. Talking a whole bunch of bullshit to everybody. It don't matter who it is. I'm talking bullshit to you.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Exactly. So you guys got to give them time. And time is what it's going to take. You know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
you really want to push the issue, then you're going to have to push your legislation in your own state, regardless to make it legal medically, and recreationally, or whatever it is. To turn the tide, you have to talk to your local legislation. You have to talk to the people who represent you in your district, in your county, in your state, in your ward. You're going to have to put in your own legwork to help get this pushed forward, because if we don't work together cohesively on trying to push the goalpost forward in our local elections, then you're not going to be able to move the goalpost in the national elections. It takes baby steps. So there you go. What's your question?
So, all right. I know Republicans and Democrats never got along, right?
Well, in front of us anyway. Behind closed doors is a different situation.
Right. They have dinners and this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But that's different. Are you serious? So, whenever it comes to marijuana, which side is more
pro-cannabis,
forgiving for marijuana?
Right now, it's the Democrats. It used to be neither side.
Okay, so it is the Democrats wanting legalized marijuana.
They're pro marijuana than Republicans are, but a lot of Republicans are turning another leaf because you got younger Republicans in there. They're not the old Republican rhinos like of the past. You got to think back in the 80s and all the way up probably to mid to late 90s, both parties were anti-marijuana, anti-drug, period. Both parties.
I remember that. I remember that.
It was that way probably all the way up until Obama.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing. Democrats use that as a tool to save themselves because they were really falling apart as a party, when
back in the 90s.
Yeah. And they've been falling apart for a long time. It's only gotten worse for the Democrats. And here's the thing, what everybody's got to realize. When it comes to the Democratic Party, they only care right now about a small 1% of the United States.
And
they are coddling 1% of the United States. They are sheltering and harboring the 1% of the United States that's the people you want to sit there and represent. You got the rest of the country, but you're only care about the 1%. The fake women, the men who claim to be women, you're coddling to them. The Black Lives Victim Club, you're coddling to them. Okay, because it ain't just Black Lives Matter. All lives matter.
No, all lives matter.
And you're coddling to them.
If you listen to a BLM rep, that's racist.
If you listen to a what?
A BLM representative.
Why would that be racist?
Saying that all lives matter, not focusing on the problem at hand, which is Black lives.
See, I've been raised colorblind, bro.
Me too.
I was raised colorblind, so I base, and hate me if you want, but I don't give a fuck. I base you as a person with character.
Lived until I was 6 years old in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend was black.
Yeah, exactly. My best friend is black.
His sister was white.
And you want to know something messed up, bro? He'll tell you himself.
Yep.
So
I've met him. He does.
He'll tell you.
There are black people out here that make themselves a victim every fucking day.
Yeah, but I look at that when I see that happening in front of me, and I see it happening frequently on a daily basis when I'm out and about. I just sit back and be like,
I'm sorry.
well, why do you, I think to myself, I'm like, what is so special about you that makes you think that you could get away with this shit?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
you're not any more special than me. You don't put your pants on different than I do when I get up in the morning.
And I'm no
You
better
know?
than you.
Right. And I'm no better than you. So stop playing the victim, because we could all play a victim. Because if you want to know the bottom dollar, the government's been fucking us as a people for years, and we let them do it. Because a lot of us in America get brainwashed and wrapped up in all this bullshit that doesn't have nothing to do with improving us as a country. None of it.
Right.
Social agenda is not going to save jobs. Social agenda is not going to sit there and save your houses. Social agenda is not going to save trees. Social agenda is not going to sit there and save you from having to pay double what the car's worth. Okay? Social agenda is not going to help your pocketbook at the end of the day to keep your lights on.
No. That'd be Trump in that executive order.
When we finally sit down as a country and realize, hey, we need to focus on what really matters, what's going to put money in our pockets, what's going to make us a wealthy country again, what's going to stop the wars, what's going to stop billionaires from robbing this country blind. Okay, so, I mean, stop other countries from robbing us blind. When we start focusing on that, we'll be a lot better off.
Yep.
Just because I'm white don't mean I fucking hate you, that I have a racist bone in my body, because you don't know me from Adam to fucking Eve.
Right. And I mean, I may can come up with some racist stuff that just comes out my mouth, but I'm not really racist. I mean,
Right.
I've had some black people tell me some racist jokes, like about blacks.
Yeah, exactly.
What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
What? Forget about it? No, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Not built like that.
You don't
I'm
forget
sarcastic.
funny ass motherfucking jokes, bro. That's just the way it is. I mean, especially when it's told by the people that it's talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right, y'all. Like,
But
share, and subscribe.
yes, please do like, share, subscribe. Hit us up some other time. Boom. Let us know what you want to think about, what you want to talk about. If you want to be a guest on our show, you know how to do it. Boom. You know where to go. Hit us up. I'd like
Night,
to
y'all.
say good night. Y'all have a good evening. We'll see you next time.
Like, comment.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the